my background is in really consumer behavior. I was on Madison Avenue working in ad agencies for the first almost 20 years of my life. Then I ran a think tank for the last 17 years that focused on how to market to boomers. And specifically because boomers had aged out of that golden demographic that we had always been focused on in advertising, that 18 to 49, they'd started turning 50. And advertising, we just ignored people over 50, or maybe we'd sell them a Cadillac or some Depends
Buick
or something, yeah, X-Lax or something. But we didn't know what to do with them. And I had, back in 2003, I had friends who were in their 50s. It's like, they're not dead, they're still buying stuff. So I formed a consulting firm that became a think tank. And we went out and researched and said, do you feel like advertising is missing you? They're either treating you as you're still young, or they're treating you as if you're an old person, and you're neither. And that just ended up being in the right place at the right time. All this generational stuff was just starting, and we were just in the right place at the right time with a message. And that got me in front of a lot of audiences to really help them understand the boomer consumer at that stage of life. And along the way came senior living. Senior living came and knocked on our door and said, hey, we got to understand boomers. And I'm like, why? They're too young for your product, and they're not coming anyway because they don't really like your current product. Their parents are there, and they don't like it. So I don't think they say, no, we need to understand boomers. If nothing else, they're decision makers for our parents. So we did research and got consulting gigs and gave speeches to help educate the senior living sector. And that was my first exposure to it. I didn't know anything about senior living. Jump forward 10 years, the recession came and went, and senior living kind of went away. It came back in about 2016, 2017, and they said, hey, we really need to understand boomers. So my business partner and I said, well, we'll do a big national research study ourselves because we're a think tank. Let's think about this stuff and see if we can figure out what's going on and to take the temperature of where boomers are today at this stage of life. So we did that study, and then we went out and shared those findings at conferences and events kind of like this. And it was along that journey that it became clear to me that the senior living sector just had a blind spot for specifically the middle market. They've got plenty of product for the high end, and the current operators have got waiting lists of people who want to be on the high end. They look at the boomer consumer coming to them and say, wow, there's so many of them, we're going to be fine. And they're right. They're going to fill that top 5 or 10% of the market with the high-end product. And then there's government-sponsored housing for low-income boomers, but there's nothing for the middle. And the sector, the industry, is kind of saying, well, we need to figure out this forgotten middle. I guess that's what Nick calls it. And that got me thinking about this idea I'd had for years about, why don't we build some affordable housing, more affordable housing, market rate housing, for older adults where they can live intentionally in community. So that's what got me from where I was to where I am today.